I'd like to introduce you to the Asian hornet. In 2004, a crate of pots was shipped from China to France. Inside that crate was a hibernating Asian hornet queen. In the spring, the queen hornet emerged, made a nest, and at the end of the year, she raised new queens. The number of queens an Asian hornet nest will produce is highly variable. It might be as few as 12, but it could be more than 350. The new queens will forage for nectar for a while before finding somewhere to hibernate. When they come out of hibernation, the new queens spread out, flying up to 30 kilometres, and some will hitch rides on vehicles and produce, enabling them to travel much further, 100 kilometres, maybe further. They were able to spread rapidly across Europe. Some flew or were blown on strong winds over the English Channel. Some arrived here on vehicles and produce. You might have seen the newspaper article about the Asian hornet found in a cauliflower in a supermarket. What is the Asian hornet? So, what is it? It's a big Vespa species, a similar family to wasps. You will often hear them before you see them. Their colouring is almost black, and the orange on the abdomen often catches the light. It has some unique markings. Yellow socks, a thin yellow band at the top of the abdomen, and the fourth abdominal segment is an orange-yellow colour. The workers are about 25 millimetres long and fly from May to November. The queens are bigger, around 30 millimetres long, and fly from February to May. They spend the summer and autumn hidden away, laying eggs in the nest. Then the new queens fly from September until they hibernate. Why are they not welcome? Researchers have calculated that a single Asian hornet nest was found to have consumed over 11 kilograms of prey, which they calculated represented around 100,000 insects. These insects are fed to the developing larvae. Those insects have jobs to do. They are part of a balanced ecosystem, and their loss causes problems. Many of the insects they kill are pollinators. We need pollinators for lots of the food our gardeners and farmers produce. But our native wildlife depends on the work of pollinators too, for the seeds, fruits, and nuts that they eat. Insects are part of the food chain for our native inhabitants. Many of the insects that the Asian hornets are killing should have been food for other insects, for birds, bats, reptiles, or mammals. Some of our insects are cleanup crew, like wasps and flies. You might have seen them on roadkill. They've got a job to do. We need our native insects. We don't have a surplus of any. The ecosystem is in balance, and the Asian hornets will disrupt that balance. While they are very calm when out foraging, they are very aggressive if they feel that their nest is threatened, which means noise or vibration within about 10 metres of the nest. Also partial to honeybees. Asian hornets show a preference for gathering insects, like honeybees at hives or where large numbers of insects gather for feeding. It's a bit like going to a buffet where there's lots of food in one place. Even the smell of Asian hornets will stress bees. Hornets wait at the hive and pick off the honeybees as they return, heavily laden with pollen and nectar. They are basically gliding back into the beehive, where the hornets hover about a metre in front, facing out to the returning bees and picking them off. Even the presence of as few as 3 to 5 hornets will stress the bees. Stressed bees don't go out foraging for nectar, pollen, water or propolis. They can run out of food, that's the honey and pollen, with the pollen being used to make food for the developing larvae. They don't go out on cleansing flights. They don't leave the hive. The queen stops laying. The workers think there's something wrong with the queen. They might try to replace her. Sometimes that stress can cause the colony to die out. Sometimes the Asian hornets will simply march into the hive, killing the bees, eating the honey, and taking the larvae back to their nest to feed their own larvae. Total destruction. As a beekeeper, I might need to feed the bees with pollen substitute and sugar syrup to get them through these tough times. If there isn't enough honey for the bees, there's definitely none for the beekeeper. Asian hornet life cycle. The queens start to emerge from hibernation in February. The last of them emerge by the end of March. Queens that emerge early may have been disturbed during hibernation rather than emerging because of the warmer weather. If the weather is mild, the early ones get a head start. But if there's a cold snap, the early queens may die and the late queens have a better chance of survival. Around the end of March, the queens start to build a nest. It's usually less than 3 meters from the ground and it's protected from the elements. Maybe a bird box, shed, porch, compost bin, gas meter cupboard. It just needs to be somewhere protected from the elements. The queen will spend her time foraging, laying eggs, keeping her brood warm. She's unlikely to leave the nest for more than 30 minutes. At this stage, the nest is called an embryo nest. The larvae will develop slowly. It will be May before they emerge. Primary nest. In May, the Asian hornet workers begin to emerge. These workers are small because the queen was unable to feed them well. The workers have 3 jobs: feed the developing larvae, making the nest bigger, and defending it. Now that there are workers, the nest is called a primary nest. The nest grows quickly. You shouldn't approach it because the workers will be very defensive. In the autumn. In the autumn, the hornets begin the reproductive cycle. The males emerge first and the new queens about 2 weeks later. The number produced in each nest is highly variable, with as few as 12 queens reported in some nests to over 350 in others. Roughly 3 times as many males as queens are produced. The queens will mate, forage for a while, and then begin their hibernation. Good places to hibernate are anywhere protected from the elements, perhaps in a birdhouse, a mouse hole, under stacked timber, in plant pots, anywhere snug and protected. It's not unusual for several queens to hibernate in the same place, and many of them will not survive hibernation. 2023, Southern England. In 2023, 72 nests were found in 56 locations. Most were destroyed by the National Bee Unit, that's the NBU, before they could produce new queens. In Kent and East Sussex, 5 nests reached maturity, and the area is being closely monitored, with an extensive grid of monitoring stations that extend far beyond the nest locations. 2023 was a good year for Asian hornets in France. It's called a surge year. That means there may be more flying across the Channel and hitching rides on vehicles and goods coming into the UK during 2024. The areas at greatest risk of receiving these unwelcome insects are the south coast, ports, transport routes, and wholesale resellers of imported fruit and vegetables. What to expect in 2024? We should anticipate more new queens arriving. We also know that queens were produced in the UK in 2023, and it's possible that some may have survived. We should be alert. Take a moment to watch insects visiting flowers. If you see an Asian hornet, report it on the Asian Hornet app. Perhaps set a monitor where you can look at it frequently, maybe on a windowsill. If you are working outside, take a monitor with you. If there are Asian hornets in the area, they will usually find it within 30 minutes. Make a habit of looking for Asian hornets, because if you don't look, you won't see them. What can you do to help? Download the Asian Hornet app, and learning to identify Asian hornets is a great start. Perhaps put up a poster where you work or in your car window when you're out and about. Put out a monitoring station. All you need is a jar with a wick and some attractant. Get in touch with your local bee association and they should be able to advise you on traps and monitors. Their Asian Hornet coordinator will be glad to hear about any sightings too. Monitoring. You can make a simple monitoring station using a shallow dish, some kitchen roll and some wasp attractant. This photograph by Chrysia Watson shows how effective it can be, with European hornets and Asian hornets feeding peacefully together. The Vito farmer trap shown here is widely used in Jersey to trap Asian hornets. In Jersey, they add holes to enable native insects, also known as bycatch, to escape. The size of the hole recommended for queen trapping is currently 7 mm for the spring and autumn, but the hole recommended for trapping workers in the summer is 5.5 mm. Queens are bigger than workers. This advice may change. Your local beekeeping association should be able to advise you of any changes to the recommended practice. Other sources of information are the British Beekeepers Association website, that's the BBKA, or BeeBase. The importance of allowing non-target beneficial insects to escape cannot be stressed enough. It's incredibly important. Bees and beekeepers would like to thank you for your time. So would the farmers, gardeners, bumblebees, butterflies, moths, hoverflies, wasps, blackbirds, blue tits, swallows, woodpeckers, squirrels, bats, hedgehogs, frogs. Asian hornets aren't just a bee problem, they're an everyone problem. I'd like to thank John de Carteret for his assistance in this presentation.